Okay, Maureen, we're good to go.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's Friday night, and you know what that means. It's another episode of the Asea 5. So we're so glad that you joined us here tonight. We have a great show. We have with us tonight, of course, me, Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas. And we have Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. Jim is our financial expert, and Ann is our nutritional expert. And of course, the one and only Dr. Lee Osler from Washington State, our dentist premier and one of the founders of AOSH, AAOSH, which is the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health. And tonight we have, back by popular demand, one of our favorites, Dr. Carmen Keith, who I like to think is a protege of mine, who I never knew until just recently through Asea, but she's very similar. She's got a similar background. Might trump me a little bit because she is a Harvard doc. I lived by Harvard. I worked in the Harvard system, but I didn't go to Harvard like Dr. Keith did. And I'm double boarded, but she's triple boarded in anesthesia, pain, and functional medicine. So she's a triple threat. Plus, she's incredibly bright. She's funny. She's personable, and she's now in Texas. So, Dr. Keith, come on board. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You have an incredible story to share. We want to hear how you got introduced to this, why you found this to be such an important thing to share with your patients, and where you have gone since you joined us. So take it over from here, Dr. Carmen.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with everyone. Thank you for the welcome, Merry Christmas, and all those good things. So where do we start? You asked me to say, how did I get introduced to Asea first? Okay. All right. So it was about, let me think here now, it's been a year and a half ago when I had a colleague, Dr. Ann Ools. She came into my clinic, and she had a little small tube of Renew 28 and said, Carmen, you've got to see this. You've got to see this. It's helped me. It's helped my hands. You've got to see this because you can help more people. So I said, okay, let me take that. And I did what any, person would do. And I think we termed it ghosting. I didn't mean to. I was just researching. Really, I was researching. It was not my excuse. I was researching it. And once I started understanding what Asea does and how it works, more importantly, on the genetic level especially, I said, wow, this is unlike anything I've seen, unlike anything I've been introduced to. And so at that point, I decided that I wanted to start taking it because I have a theory. If I can help one person, then I need to go ahead and do that. So I started taking it. I noticed some improvements immediately, truly, within the first week of my brain fog. It seemed like my sleep was getting better. It seemed like I was brighter in the morning and through the day. And then I will save the rest of my story in Asea for a little bit later in the show about how it has affected my family in a just significant, priceless way. But that's how I got introduced to it. And I've never looked back, and I'm not going to look back because it's a mission, and it's helping way more than that one person that I expected to help.
That's
Carmen, real quick, Carmen, you said that you did research in the beginning. You're obviously a doctor. Where did you go to do that research? And then where would you recommend us non-medical people go to do the same kind of research or to do our research?
Yeah, well, I started out like anybody else would. I went to the website, I looked around, but then I started linking, and one link led to another link, led to another link. I went to the dentist's website, honestly, and found a lot there. And then I just went on YouTube, and then one term led to another term search. I went on PubMed. I went and looked up Redox. I knew that Redox was basic chemistry. I mean, I learned that. That's what I learned, Maureen and I and Lee, we learned that in our studies when we're headed down this medical professional pathway. And so that's what I did. And when I did a fly-in, and I went to the factory and saw it set up and started asking more questions and really seeing it, it really truly clicked. This is the real thing.
That's great. If you don't mind backing up a little bit, you were talking about Dr. Uhl coming into your office and she had used it on her hands. Can you
Yes.
speak to, was she a colleague or was she seeing you as a patient?
Yep,
How
she's a
did that happen?
colleague.
She's a colleague.
Yeah,
And
she's a colleague.
yeah,
Yes.
what was going
And
on with her hands?
she had discomfort. So it was something that had been troubling her, and it was helping her. And she knew that, I had a heart for helping people who hurt. And she knew that I would want this in my hands. And of course, now with the new labeling that we have on Renew 28 for the muscular discomfort, it has really changed the game for a lot of people in my practice.
Hey, Lee.
Yes.
Real quick, can you give the medical disclaimer, please? Can you kind of cover our rear ends?
I don't know about that, but I can sure give the disclaimer. Yes, we want to emphasize to everybody listening or who would view this at a later time that Asea is not we don't make medical claims. This is not for diagnosing conditions. We don't speak to specific medical conditions, especially by name. It's not intended per the FDA rules to diagnose or treat. And so we want to be very careful in how we characterize the great product that Dr. Keith has been talking about, which we'll talk some more about later. We'll probably reemphasize this through the course of this, but that's an important thing to have out of the way right up front.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee. If we expand our group, if we go to the Asea 6 or 7, maybe we should get an attorney on. That might be good. But the other thing, to expand upon what Dr. Lee was just saying, we're not here as medical professionals, just as Dr. Lee was saying, to talk about how we use this for specific diagnoses, but we are a team of medical professionals who all value these products and use them for ourselves. Of course, Dr. Keith, you may be using it in your practice, and I'd like for you to speak a little bit to that. And also, if you don't mind going back a little bit and talking about your progression in medicine and what you're doing now from a traditional allopathic physician doing anesthesia and pain management, now doing more functional medicine, and what that kind of means and why the transition.
Right. So honestly, the transition came because I had my own health challenge. I had my own health crisis, if you will. This was about, let me think about this, must have been approximately nine years ago, I suppose it was. The twins, so I have twins, I have 3 kids. My oldest is 14, he's 6'2", he's the gentle giant. And my twins are 9. And so the twins were 1. And I just was doing this doctor thing. And I was busy wearing my white cape, my superhero white cape, that is the white coat. And I was doing the doctor thing day and night. When was it, how long did I work till it was done? When did I go in? When I had to. And you get into that routine, and you guys have been there, where it's just come home and you eat and you go to bed and repeat, right? Well, I started not feeling that this was normal, meaning coming home, being so tired that I couldn't stay awake for another hour when I got home or 2, being, so tired that I really couldn't rest well or wake up rested, having small symptoms looking back, like gut discomfort, headaches. I would have a headache every day at like 2 or 2:30, so much a routine that I would carry a Tylenol in my white coat every single day, and like clockwork, I would take that. And it was one of these, healthy lab panels that we got back that told me that I wasn't so healthy. I was mid-30s. I was diabetic by numbers, okay? And so and my cholesterol was just through the roof. And I had been having some predisposition to these things simply because of a strong family history of it. And I took a couple steps back and said, is this normal really for me to feel this way? I mean, excuse me, do other doctors feel this way? Yes, but is this the way that I'm supposed to feel? Because I'm not sure that I can make it a career feeling like this. And so it was at that point I started trying to help myself without the medications and without the shots and without all of that. And I started buying more into this lifestyle approach. And I just thought it was, kind of woo-woo, honestly, with all, what you put in your body and in your mouth actually can affect your health. I was never taught that, right, Maureen and Lee? We weren't really given that nutrition time. And I probably got, literally like one lecture, not even one course, like one lecture on nutrition. And they reduced vitamins to alphabet soup. And I was taught that, oh, you're an American in the land of plenty. And there's no way that Americans are malnourished or undernourished. You don't need any vitamins. You've got all the food you could ever want. And it was just scoffed at. Well, that wasn't working out for me. And I considered myself a pretty healthy eater, exercised and everything, but it just wasn't working for me. And so it was not coincidence that a book landed in my lap that from a nurse of mine, actually, that started teaching me the role of some inflammatory foods and its link with blood sugar control and other metabolic issues. And I literally remember reading this book in my closet with my little girl's pink Minnie Mouse blanket over my head, thinking that the Harvard gods are going to come down and strike me because this is such woo-woo and so just not in line with what I learned, right? And at some point, you had to stomp that ego and say, well, if it's going to work for me, then I'm going to do it. So I committed to a month to read the book, but I first went out in my kitchen and started reading the back of the book in the back section where all the recipes were. And I started just cooking and I started trying new things and then just started seeing improvements within a week, and steady improvements in my numbers. And I started feeling better too. One day I was like, it's 2:00, my headache, it's time for my Tylenol. Wait. I don't have a headache. Oh, okay. Guess I won't take that today. And I haven't had the 2:00 headache since. And so it was during that time that I said, you know what? Is there more that I could offer people in this journey of being a physician and learning that physician really means, teacher, and learning that being a physician is ultimately part of being on a healer's team. And I just had to open my heart and say, what else? What else? And if I can help more people doing something a little bit differently, then what am I supposed to do? And, Lord, show me, what does that really mean? And so as it would happen, I was introduced to the Institute for Functional Medicine, taking a walk in my neighborhood. I was clickbait for an ad, and it said, "Do you have a functional doctor?" And I said, "What?" Somebody wants to know the name of the book. The name of the book was called Wheat Belly, written by an interventional cardiologist, William Davis. And so I clicked on that and I was just wide open to the world of functional / integrative medicine. I started doing their courses during my vacations and on my spare time, and ultimately found myself connected with my mentor and now the founder of this clinic that I'm working in right now. And that's a That's just an awesome story. Imagine being at your first functional medicine conference on the 16th floor. The doors open up on the elevator first morning, and this man is standing there. And his name is Guy Danielson. He's a neurosurgeon by training. And he, at the time, was 72. And he just started speaking, dear child, this is the future of medicine. And if you don't get on board, you're going to get left out. And why are you here? And the reason why you're here. And this is what the future is. Trust me, I've been in this for 40 plus years, all this. But he didn't know kind of my struggle up to that point of, what am I supposed to be doing here with all this knowledge and my career and the years I have left ahead of me? And so ultimately, I have joined his practice. I am boarded in functional medicine, and now I'm in Tyler, Texas at Integrative Health Matters is the name of the clinic. Those are canoes on my head right there. We'll talk about the phrase there, but the reason the transition is because I realized that I could help more people with more knowledge. I call myself both sides of the brain. I have the traditional brain, and then I have the integrative, and I call that side of my brain the help you feel good brain. And it takes a little more thought regarding the biochemistry of the body, really the Krebs cycle, all that hard biochemistry that we learned is actually what we use in the world of integrative and functional medicine to help people. And of course, part of that is the understanding how the cells work and how they make energy, and the mitochondria from your mother that creates redox molecules, okay? And it's just, for me, Asea is one of those foundational tools that I am not hesitant 1 second to offer my patients, because it can do so much for them. And I have seen it do so much for so many people now. But right now, in this clinic, like I was telling you guys in the pre-show, we are working on creating a integrative model. From this integration word, it means we are integrating functional medicine with the insurance model. So a clinic now that we are actively working on accepting insurance, and we are accepting insurance now. So the insurance companies and Medicare are becoming very aware that investing into these preventive, wellness exams that we're doing now, big physicals where we're looking at a lot of things deeper, they're understanding the value of that in the long run, right? And I think we're kind of catching on to Benjamin Franklin's, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? And so we are on a quest to do that to help more people. And it's really, really exciting. So I'll pause there for a second.
Well, I was trying to unmute and I turned my camera off, but I was going to say, the dentists have had this down for a while, and Lee, you might want to speak about that, because, dental care has gone towards prevention. And, having your teeth cleaned and having that evaluation a couple of times a year, would you mind? I don't mean to interrupt, but you've brought up such an important point, and the dentists have done it so well. Do you mind speaking to that for a second, Lee?
Sure. Dentistry has long understood the importance of prevention. And probably people see their dentist more often than they ever do their physician, at least twice a year. And so we have a kind of a coveted position in the health model to be able to interact and interface with people and speak to the idea of having oral health. And the bottom line with oral health is to control, obviously, tooth decay. But what's very important that many people don't recognize is the role that inflammation has in the mouth from the presence of bacteria. And this is where the oral health links with the systemic health. We call it the oral systemic connection. And we in the AOSH community, the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health, have long been working with physicians to help educate and inform them, as well as the public, as to why decreasing inflammation matters. that inflammatory burden in the body can be elevated because of diseases in the mouth. And so our focus, has been to do a preventive approach. And it's so refreshing to see certainly the functional and the integrative medicine side of healthcare, be able to be more vocal. They've always believed this, but finding their voice and finding their place on the healthcare platform has always been a struggle. There's too many forces out there that are opposing this effort, and more people are reading the books and they're understanding the role of nutrition and its role in controlling inflammation. And that's why we've all gathered on this platform with redox signaling, is because redox signaling is an essential part of that whole inflammatory discussion. The pathways, the gene signaling pathways that we now have the ability to control. And nutrition, stress control, improved sleep, diet and nutrition, exercise, activity, all of those impact in very important ways. I call them bio-oxidative because they deal with the mitochondria. They make the mitochondria more efficient, which produces more signaling molecules that then help to signal my own immune system and antioxidant program. So there's a nexus between all of this that comes together, and there's many players in this. So I love what Dr. Keith is doing here with getting out there and kind of in front of this and championing that aspect. And I'm certain that she's incorporating the focus on oral health in that clinic as well.
That was a good plug. Yeah.
For a segue.
I have to say that I'm always impressed with the healthcare providers who join Asea, because it just seems to me that there's a typical thread that runs through it, that it's people who are thinking outside of the box, right? I know in my own case, it just seemed like it was another pill, another procedure, trying to get people through stuff. And at a certain point in time, you step back and you say, okay, I'm not getting with this patient to where I want to get them back to health. What is the missing link here? And I think that pathway often takes us, well, for you, into the study of nutrition. I didn't do functional medicine, but I did acupuncture and energy medicine and mind body and stuff like that. I was like, there have to be other modalities, other things that are missing in this picture. And I like to say, I went through age management medicine and finally got here to Asea. And this seemed to be, it's foundational, as you said. And it seemed to kind of be the missing link in all those other things that I was trying to help people get a better state of health. So if you wouldn't mind speaking to that, about using it alongside of everything else you're doing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, I talk to patients all the time about the use of medications and those types of things to get them well. And my question is, if you stopped your blood pressure medicine or pick the ailment medicine you're on, would that ailment stay away or would that ailment return? Because the falsehood that a lot of people believe is that just because you're taking the pill, it means that is gone. While it's definitely maintaining your symptoms. Okay. I'm not saying they're not necessary and I'm not saying they don't work. My point is that it takes more than just that to truly make whatever the ailment is to go away. And then we reach a point where, the body just can't do it. It can't recover. And in my story here in a little bit, I'll tell you about my father who was at that point. And the thing, of course, with lots of prayer that truly helped him. And he is alive and well today. And I believe he's watching right now. Truly helped him to survive was the foundation of the cells of the redox signaling and the detection and the repair and the replacement of the sick and damaged cells. But what you're saying is very, very true. We have to recognize that there are many other things that truly can help us to help the problem we're trying to get rid of. You know, if medicines were going to make us better, if insurances actually made us healthy, then why are we among the sickest nations in the world? And we spend so much money on healthcare, but yet we don't live any longer than anybody else in the world. We're sure not in the top 5. And how does that translate? It's just a little confusing. But when you have people who truly want to dig in and truly get to their root cause of their issues, you cannot ignore the role of redox in the foundation. But what I have to implore is understanding before you get better, you might feel worse. Okay, it's super important to set this expectation. If you are new here watching, I just want you to know, and it's not just with Asea, it's with anything. When you're trying to get the bad out, okay, there may be a time period where you just start feeling worse. And I equate this to, we're going to go into our garage and we're going to take a broom and we're going to start sweeping the garage out. Okay, and it's a dusty garage. Okay, we haven't done it in a while. So we're in our garage, we grabbed a broom. Now, which broom are we going to grab? Well, we want to get this done fast. So we're going to grab that big, 4-foot long one, that 4-foot wide one. You got a big garage. We got a lot to sweep, but we're going to get this done quickly. So we're sweeping away. And as we do this, what happens? All that dust starts to fly up, right? Okay. Analogy. The broom is the dose of Asea the broom is the Asea. The width of it is the dose of Asea. And the dust flying up is those you might feel worse before you feel better symptoms, okay? These are sometimes called Herxheimer reactions. In this world, we call them Herx for short, but these are the not feel greats. Also coupled with this may be a time period where your labs might get out of whack, okay? Where, your blood sugars may go up, your liver enzymes may go up during a period of detoxification and truly cleansing of the body. And so what I want you to understand, if this is your first exposure to Asea, we have to recognize that we might need to be a little patient. The recommended starting dose is the 2 ounces twice a day, but for some people that may be too fast, and that's okay. I tell people take as much as you can. I still have someone who's very, going up on very, very tiny doses, but the point is she's tolerating it and she's not been able to tolerate a lot of other things. And so I don't want people to get discouraged or say, this doesn't work, et cetera, because you're just feeling bad. That's just part of some of the process here. Somebody asked, how can you tell if your body is doing all right to safely come off your pharmaceutical meds? Well, that's truly a question for your prescribing doctor right there. And so that's what I would say to that, is that you I'd defer that to your treating doctor. But when we're talking about, helping people find wellness, you cannot ignore the basic principles of biochemistry that the body really exists from. And that involves the mitochondria creating these redox molecules that detect, repair, and replace sick and damaged cells. And the notion that, we're just aging and I feel bad because I'm old and that's what I'm supposed to feel. Like, Maureen, we don't like that. Who says we shouldn't feel better in our later years?
That's right.
I don't either.
Right. Why not feel your best? Why not?
Why not? Yeah, you've earned it. Yeah.
We all want to be old. We don't want to be decrepit, right?
Exactly. We want to feel good.
My husband's getting on it.
Yes, right on. So we have to find what works for us. And we know that restoring the balance in the body is what we're achieving. However, like you talked about before, Maureen, the missing link for a lot of people is redox signaling. They can eat all the right things, but if you if you eat the right things and you can't digest, then you can't absorb and assimilate those nutrients inside of your cells. If you can't do that, then your Krebs cycle doesn't work, okay? And your Krebs cycle is what makes energy. Your Krebs cycle is what really powers the body. And so what we're doing here is we are supporting the body's ability to run that Krebs cycle efficiently, and to really tell the other cells, wake up or let's move on. But the power of Asea, even to the genetic level, was one of the things that really told me, this is impressive stuff.
Okay, Carmen, I'm a new patient. Could you please explain what this is to me? Because when I look at the bottle, it says it's made from salt water and is a dietary supplement.
Right.
Can you explain to me real quick what Redox is and then why salt water and is a dietary supplement?
Okay. Hi, Jim. I am so glad to see you today. So as we've gone over your labs, we've talked about things that are not quite balanced in your body. And you've come to me for improvements in that and for you to feel your best, right?
Right.
One of the foundations that we need to start with is the cellular health aspect. So at the very smallest molecule in our body is a cell. Okay. The cells are put together to form organs. Organs are put together to form systems, and systems are put together to form Jim. It is very important that we focus on the cellular level, because without that, we're not going to get very far. So within a cell, if my ring could be something called the mitochondria is what produces energy for us. And I love these little mighty mitochondria because they come from our mamas. Happy Mother's Day. We get mitochondria from our mamas. Now that I've said that, you'll never forget it. So what do these molecules do? They talk to each other. Just like you would talk to your wife in your home. If you don't talk, things don't go so well for you, do they? You might not get fed, right? So same thing happens in the cell. They have to, in the body, the cells have to communicate. As we age, as we develop disease, as we develop symptoms, it is a sign that our cells are not communicating. And so what I want to do first is I want to get those cells to talking. Does that sound like a plan?
Absolutely.
Great. But what I want to tell you even more, Jim, is that this is not just something for the right here and now. This is going to be foundational for your health, for not just now, but for honestly, as long as you're living, breathing, and have one cell in your body. Okay. It is effective on the genetic level in the realms of gut health, cardiovascular health, immune health, inflammation. I know you've experienced some inflammation because we can see this on your labs, and this is part of what is causing you problems. And so that is what I would recommend. It's this beautiful blue bottle. Now, I want you to turn it around. You have a blue bottle? Good, grab that thing. And I want you to read me those ingredients. This is what I really do. Read me those ingredients.
Water and sodium chloride.
Yep, and it's from Salt Lake City. Okay, so now that we've gotten over that, let me tell you a little bit more about it. So just as you would not look at, I'm gonna bring a cake in the picture, okay? You bought a cake, it has a label on it. Does the label say cake?
No.
In the ingredients? No. It says sugar and water and flour and all this stuff, right? Now, it's the same thing here, okay? The ingredients are simple. Remember, we are told now that a sign of a pick up and read the label, if you can pronounce everything, and if there's few ingredients in the list, then that's something we want to put in our mouth, okay? This is salt and water mixed with some physics that we're not going to go in right now, mixed with some physics because Asea's got all those secrets, that produces redox molecules. Now, what I can tell you is you can't patent salt and water, okay? But this has 33 patents on it for the process of creating it into those mighty molecules that your body produces anyway. I can confidently tell you it's pretty much a replicate of what your cells make. And that is powerful. And to have the story of this, to give you the story behind it, is even more powerful. And then at this point, I sometimes will tell them my father's story. So that's literally how I introduce it to a patient and how I explain it.
Thank you.
You ready to start on it right now, Jim?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And I think the back of the bottle is so important with the 6 things. People forget now that there's 6 things on there, not just 5. And the 6th one is the ability for the body to handle stress. And, you know, everyone has stress of some type. Depends what they do for a living, depends how much pollution they're around, GMOs, all the garbage sprayed on vegetation. I mean, I hear people say, you know, does it work on this? Does it work on that? Well, if it involves a cell, we know the molecules can work. We just can't say how long and how much. And people have to be willing to do it long enough. And, you know, and they're kind of looking for this thing to work, but the molecules could be working on another organ over here. And your body keeps getting robbed by all this, you know, electromagnetic fields and all these things. And sometimes it doesn't cut it to just, you know, eat right, eat healthy.
Right.
I mean, Steve Jobs died of cancer and he did the natural way, but, you know, there's something that each person is missing, that missing link. And if they put Redox back in their body, then the body can do all the work. And that's what's so amazing about it. And people just don't give it enough time, nor do they take enough. Here they are aging, so they should be taking more as they age, not the same amount. We don't take the same amount when we started. He started at 8, I started at 4. Well, we're now up to 12 ounces. But again, we've aged, so why not arm our body with the best defense?
And you make a good point. It's give the body what the body needs to heal, and the body will take care of itself. And, you know, to the stress effect, yes. And and I tell people, I've told how many patients today that stress is the biggest thing that affects our health, hands down.
Right.
And I laughed because I laugh when I say this, and they do too. I said, what American is not stressed? Not just right now, but ever.
Well, the whole world is right now. Carmen, we had a meeting today up in Kerrville, and some people were sharing about how children are doing some horrible things right now, unthinkable things because of the stress, and it just breaks your heart. So everyone needs these molecules, right? I mean, because the children are under a lot of stress.
Totally. I mean, if you have a cell, any being, you know, also we've seen pets. You know, I've even helped people with their pets with this. And
yeah. And the serotonin in the gene study, I mean, that's the calming mechanism of your brain. So if the molecules are working on your serotonin, then you should be able to cope because you're getting back these molecules that help the body do it all.
And we can't forget either that 90% of the serotonin is produced in the gut, which brings us back down to the importance of gut. You know, everything begins in the gut. That's where a lot of our work happens in the integrative and functional world.
Right.
I want to make sure we don't run out of time. And I know your dad's listening, because we've got to be off in 20 minutes now because the Australian group is coming on. When I first heard your story with your dad, it really affected me. And, you know, I lost my mom to the bad cells. I lost my Ann's mother to the bad cell problems. And there's so many people out there that are suffering. But when I heard your story, it was just so uplifting and so encouraging. And that's why we love having you come back. And I will never hear this enough. So do you mind sharing it?
No, not at all. Okay. So, yes, here is my Asea story, and it has to do with my dad. So we're going to take it back to 2019. We would be February is when he fell ill. So before that, I was introduced to Asea right around that time. So my father fell ill in February of 2020. And at that point, we didn't know what was wrong. And of course, I'm not going to tell you exactly what was wrong with him, but he became very sick. It became from February to July, that long of being in the hospital. The majority of that were in the ICUs. He had so many near-death experiences, bleed outs, and being told this is going to be it. And this is, say goodbyes many, many times. And so how the story progressed. So, and my mom and dad actually are on this right now listening. So that's a treat always when they can join. So it was February when he fell ill. We didn't know what was really going on. We had an idea, but we didn't know that things were as bad as they were. Fast forward from February to, it would have been May, early May. And he was at that point had been in the tertiary care center in St. Louis, so a large teaching hospital. And the doctors came in and told my mother that he has a 10% chance of living. At that time, my mom was taking Asea, and she noticed that, I'm feeling a little better, feeling a little sharper, and my sleep's better. And so she calls and says, Carmen, the big doc has come in and said, he's given Dad 10% chance of living. What are we gonna do? And I said, we've got the blue bottle. What have you been thinking about the blue bottle, Mom? And that's when she said, I felt a little better. I really do. She goes, are we going to do that? And I said, why not? If that's what you want to try. And Dad would say, live with no regrets. Dad would say, get her done. Dad would say, let's keep stepping. Let's keep trying. It's super simple, Mom. Now, what I want you to remember, though, is this is a time, and it's very different now, but this, and I can't believe I'm talking about it like this, but hear me out. This was a time when we could actually go into the hospitals and be with our sick loved ones. Let that sink in for just a second. So we were in the hospital, and, it looks like water. Mom put it in her little jelly jar and took it inside. I said, what do I do? I said, well, you're going to take that little sponge, you're going to put it in his mouth, because what we know is that 90% of those molecules are absorbed in the mouth. So at the time, I'm going to paint you the picture that my dad was existing. He didn't know who we were, where he was, why he was there, anything. Okay. And so she started just wiping out his mouth. He had a feeding tube in his stomach, and at that point, he had not eaten in 6 weeks. He had lost a lot of weight, and we just started giving it to him. We had the gel. I said, Mom, rub it on his carotids, rub it on his upper cervical spine, rub it on his abdomen, rub it up and down his spine as much through the day as you can. So that's what she did. In 7 days, my dad had his feeding tube out, because he tolerated 3 full meals. He had not eaten again in 6 weeks. The little residents were running in all the time. Are you sure he hadn't vomited? You sure he hadn't been nauseous? And Mom goes, why are these little doctors keep asking me if he's thrown up? I'm like, because he should have. And this is unheard of, Mom. And she goes, okay, so what do I do? I said, keep giving him more. Drink more and rub more, right? That's Terry Latham's favorite phrase. Drink more and rub more. So drink more, rub more. So she started giving it to him in a spoon, in a little cup. We probably don't really know even how much we were giving him. We were just giving it to him, because remember, the gel is 2 times as concentrated as the liquid. So in another week's time, my dad had a challenge, and the challenge was to walk. Because this was going to qualify him either to go to a skilled nursing facility, nursing home, for 90 days of rehab, or to qualify for inpatient rehab for 30 days. And so a physical therapist came to him, and I think she had known him through the stay. Everybody knew my dad. I mean, even now when he walks through the halls up there, everybody knows him. And so the PT came in and said, hey, we're going to walk. We're going to walk. You got to walk 200 feet for me today. And we can't use anything to help us, but I know you can do this. So guess what? He got out there in that hall. He got her done. He kept stepping, and he walked 250 feet. And he had not walked unassisted since February the 18th, 17th, right in there. And that right there was end of May, early June time period. So in 2 weeks' time, we went from not knowing where we were, not knowing who we were, having a 10% chance of life, to walking 250 feet, qualifying for inpatient rehab, eating full meals. Remember the foundation of life I was talking about earlier, where we had to start? And ultimately, he walked into his home on July the 3rd of 2020. He is alive and well. He continues to take Asea, he and my mom. He'll tell you that, and he doesn't remember any of it. We when he asked, told stories, when he wanted to know details. But he'll tell you that it helped his hair grow. And his hair looks about like yours, Jim.
Good.
But
I was going to say, next time we need to have your mom and dad come on the show.
oh, that would be so fun. That would be so fun.
So we will definitely do that.
So that's my Asea story. And, if you're watching for the first time, for me, Asea was not about me. Asea was about who else could I help? And ultimately, the mission to help people improve their health. Who am I to get in the way of that? It's my job to educate. It's my job to tell the story. It's my job to give hope. And I tell you what, there is some big hope in that blue bottle right there.
You mentioned the last time about living with no regrets. Remember, you brought that up the last time. What are your thoughts about that now?
Yes. Live with no regrets. Live with no regrets. Wow. Just going through what I've gone through recently, even with the moves and such. Just always at the forefront, because you never know who you're going to affect. You never know who's watching. And I'll tell you, there are more people that are watching you that won't come out and tell you how you've affected them. And maybe one day we'll know how many people we've truly affected with our kind words, with our acts of kindness, with our hope, and with our bravery, and with our vulnerability. We need that now, especially in this hard time. We need to be humans helping humans. And it's kind of like this saying on the wall back here behind me. Those are canoes, if somebody didn't hear me say that. But, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we go together.
That's right.
And that just warms my heart. And, we need to wrap our arms around each other. Even if it be through Zoom, I feel like I am connected to all of you guys, even though you're across the world and beyond. But it's time we be good humans. And it's time we truly show hope, because that's what people need right now.
Are we unmuted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maureen?
That's touching. No, I love it. You're such a treasure, Carmen. I'm so glad you joined us. I'm so happy for your father. It doesn't get any better than that, right? When you see the power of these molecules, and for people like us who spend so much of our career writing prescriptions, and every one of them comes with side effects and warning labels, and you end up prescribing more medications to take care of those side effects. To come to become aware of something like this that is so powerful and so safe is truly a gift from God. It truly is. So I'm so
I would
happy.
agree.
One of the,
And I think we also talk about this, Jim, sometimes it's about the trajectory of, when did Asea intercept the trajectory of your life? And that is not an accident.
Amen.
No, no.
one of the things that has impressed me through this is, speaking about the times we're in, the need to be connected, and, solutions like this come along that are extremely foundational, that affect everything, is this puts power back into people's lives and into people's hands about their own health. And again, the disclaimer that we made earlier still stands. We can't speak to the specifics of diseases and the causes and so on and so forth. But still, when we do the right things, when we feed our body correctly, when we get the appropriate sleep, when we are able to be healthy of our own accord in some fashion, at least, or in a better fashion, and make the cells more responsible for doing what they should be doing in the first place, activating all those positive genes, then we're in control of our future, or in better control of our future. And this doesn't take away the need for, we'll call it conventional or traditional medicine by any means. But when the cell is empowered this way, the way you've described, we're better off for it. And that we run into people every day. I mean, hundreds of people every day, wherever we're at, and every one of them has their own story. And if we would just share this with them, then they can be touched as well.
Yeah, it breaks my heart why does it take people to get to the point of an emergency or a trauma or a life-threatening issue for people to finally go, wow, look at that. And as an ex-financial advisor, stockbroker, I used to help people save their money to make it last for their lifetime. But then I've seen it where an illness, either of themselves or a family member, wiped it out. And are you seeing more people in your practice that are taking responsibility? Because I know that's kind of what you do. They're coming to you when everything else maybe didn't work out right. Are you seeing more people taking responsibility for themselves?
Yes, absolutely. And more now than ever. The tsunami of those who want to get on the well side, truly well side, are coming. And that's why it is so important for us to begin to integrate this into the insurance model for people. So we're going to be able to help more people than ever before at this point. But yes, what we have all gone through with the current events, there are more and more people that understand the importance of not just health, but wellness, because there is a difference.
Yeah, you were saying before in a previous interview that, we're selfish if we do not share this. And I think of the act that our best friend, when he was selfless by sharing Asea 5.5 years ago, I'm not sure I'd know where Jim would be today. Jim was on hydrocodone for 25 years before I even met him. So that doctor had no real interest probably ever having Jim off of it. And here he gets the signaling, and he was able to wean off of all his 530 pills he did a month. And so we truly believe it saved his life. And I know that medication has to metabolize in the liver, and then you got all those side effects, which affects another organ. And, the body knows what's best for the body. And it truly is a miracle that it was placed in our life. And we feel obligated, like you do, and Maureen and Lee, to share it with the world.
So one of the things that I've heard from Dr. Keith tonight is that true health is more than the absence of symptoms, and that we all want to die younger, but at a later age. And I think that's the essence of this.
Gracefully.
That's a great
Love
way
that.
to do it. Yeah.
Love that.
Gracefully age.
You're only as old as you feel.
Exactly.
That's right.
Look at
That's
you.
exactly it.
from back surgeries and back injuries and all that medication to now you're out, you're walking every day, you're hiking,
Not just little hiking though either. I mean, we're talking 4 hours on Mount Zion with a 30-year-old daughter, and we're keeping up with her. So,
but here's the issue, guys. A lot of people have given up hope. I was talking to our team up in Kerrville. So many people at my age, I'm now 63, have given up hope because they don't think that there's a solution, because I was flat out told by my pain doctor that, it's going to be meds. They put the stimulator in my back and that didn't do anything. So I was on the meds, and it's just switching from this med to that med, but it was never, let's get you off meds. But people just don't have any hope. But we do now, because that's what this is hope in a bottle, right? And it just breaks my heart when people get so jaded, Carmen, and they just go, no. Because maybe they're afraid of, well, what if this doesn't work? Well, what,
but what if it does?
I know, but people get they don't want to get their hope up and,
I tried everything else.
And it's like, what? Do you see that ever? And I know we've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Yeah, totally. But here's the deal, to truly be a selfless sharer and to truly be a servant, you have to share and be really disconnected from the outcome. Okay. I can't care more about your health than you care. I am a messenger. I am delivering a package. If you choose to take the package and sit it over there and never open it, well, that's your choice. If you choose to take the package, rip into it and see it right now, that's for you. But my job and what is well with my soul is to say, I have something that could help you. And it is your decision what to do with that next.
Okay, real quick, a couple of minutes. Does the fact that it's network marketing bother you?
No.
Here's
what I know. I will never be a Fortune 50 like Virtus. And so who am I to say that this wasn't the perfect business model for this? Pretty sure he knew the best model for this.
I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if he didn't, we wouldn't know about it. I mean,
exactly.
This is awesome.
Well, guys,
what a Christmas gift.
Now, Carmen, thanks. So next time you come back, girl, you're going to have your mom and dad on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we might have to do some convincing, but we'll try.
Oh, I'll get them to do it.
So much fun. Hey, Tim, do you want to talk about, we're taking Christmas off, right?
Yes.
1 week off. And we were going to take 2 weeks off, but Maureen had a little bit of an idea for January the 1st.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to kick off the new year, you guys. Bring on 2021 in a big way. What we're going to have is an athletes panel, something a little different. So we've got some big hitters coming on. Rose Monday is going to be with us. She
Hopefully. I don't know for sure yet, but
don't let me oversell. But we've got Tom Beasley has agreed to come. He's a former Pittsburgh Steeler, and I think he was with the Washington team as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Washington Redskins for 3 years.
Yeah.
Don't hold that against them, Dallas people. So it's okay.
I know. I'm like, look, we're Steelers Nation. Just talk about that. But he's got a number of Super Bowl rings. And he's going to talk about being a former athlete and using these products now to kind of help his body get back into shape. We've got
Sean Burke. Yep. Sean Burke, and he's trying to get Dexter Yates, who is the number 1 ranked Iron Woman in the world.
Who is like what? How old is 75? Oh my God. And we may have some other special.
Jerry White will be with us as well.
Jerry White, who you all probably know and love. He's a physical therapist by training, but he was also an Olympic level coach back in the day for track and swimming, and is doing triathlons now himself, as is his wife in their 60s.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So if you have what's that?
Should be fun.
It'll be a blast.
It's going to be amazing. We're all going to be inspired. I might even have to get out and do a couple of laps myself,
Or wear your tiara.
Did Joaquin hear that?
Yes, he was like, yay.
No popping bottles
every day, huh?
Yeah.
No popping bottles, though.
No, I'm going to have champagne. It's going to be. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Looking forward to that, Maureen. I can't wait.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't wait.
it'll
It's
be a
gonna be
blast.
fabulous. Yeah, get your
So,
youngsters on there, get your athletes on there. Yeah. We'll miss you next week, but everybody have a blessed and a very Merry Christmas. And
Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
so much, Carmen. Thank you, Lee.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Maureen.
Thank
So, guys,
you.
stick around. We have Danny Doyle for the Australia group. They're coming on right now. So, guys, we're signing off, and again,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Remember the
Christmas.
reason for the season,
Yep.
and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.